make it a part of your daily routine. This is something I learned late, but it's probably the most important lesson that I have learned over time. In fact, there was a survey that somebody had done among CEOs, and they said, what are the two things that you regret? And the answer was, one is, I did not take people decisions earlier, and the second is, I did not look after my health. So look after your health. The fourth is, be a teacher, which is always be, I don't mean be a teacher in the sense of be an academic, because being a teacher is the most honorable profession that I know. But if you have to be in a constant state of learning, the best way to learn is to be a teacher. So teach. In whichever profession you are in, you will have people looking up to you, working with you. Make sure that you take time off to teach them. Next is actually find time to spend with your family and friends. Find a passion, find an interest, but take time to, 24/7 working is not going to be helpful to you. And I think this generation is a little more, a little better on that than we were. So, like I said, don't be 20 years from now, don't say, oh my God, I wish I had done this. I wish I had found the time to do this. That's a terrible disappointment. Next lesson, and I'm giving you 10 lessons in no particular order. There are more, but I think 10 will do for today. One is recognize that a lot of what you will achieve is actually luck. You're lucky to be born in the first place. You are lucky you're born where you are and not in Syria or somewhere. You're lucky in your circumstances. You're lucky that you're here. You have this education. Somebody is sending you here, and you're lucky to be in a family like that. So because of that, please understand that you cannot take credit for your successes, all the credit for your successes, and you can't blame others if they are not successful. That should make you a little more empathetic and a little more humble, because luck really has a lot to play in where you finally reach in terms of your end goals. Enjoy what you do. Make sure you enjoy what you do. If you are in a job or in a role that is not giving you joy, please stop doing it. Move out of that. Do not accept the status quo. You're going to spend a lot of your time at work. You have to be able to enjoy what you do. And build diversity of experience, which doesn't mean that keep changing jobs, but within the same company, ask for growth, ask for projects, ask for a change of role. Say that I think I need to learn something else. Do that. That diversity of experience will actually help you reach the top. And finally, the most important skill you will learn over time is actually your people skills and your communication skills, because and now for the last 5 years or so, some 80 or 90% of my time I've been spending managing people. Though ours is actually a technical profession. I mean, market research is a technical. There is a science to it. But 80% or 90% of my time I've spent managing people and influencing people. So communication and people management skills will be very important. I have two last points before I open it out for questions. One is, and these are two for women specifically, for the women in this auditorium today. Women, you have to actively work at networking, because women tend to be reluctant to do that. They think that it's men do it instinctively. A, B, they have more people to network with. There till a long time, till very recently, there were very few women in positions or in an organization. I remember when I went to XLRI, which was many years back, in a class of 50, there were 2 women. They didn't even have a women's hostel. For a long time, I was the only woman in a boardroom, in a conference, in a meeting. And and this, like I said, this networking, building a sisterhood is very important. And also because you will often find yourself just one or two out of many men. Have faith in yourself, lean in, do move out of your comfort zone, make people understand that you want the top job. It's a common complaint against women uh, that they're satisfied with less. Uh, it's a myth. I don't think anybody is satisfied with less. Circumstances often make it happen, make it that way. But please do lean in, and then the world is your oyster. So really, I want to wish all of you the best for the future. I'm going to stop talking now, and I'm going to take questions from you. Any question that you want. Uh, Hopefully, these 10 life lessons have, some of them will resonate from you, for you. Some of them you will remember later when I told you, when you have more experience. But this is the wisdom of hindsight, if anything. So sure, can I open it up for questions, please? Yeah? Yes? Any questions that you want? I'm sure you have, you can ask me about what I do, you can ask me about my journey, you can ask me how you should be prepared, whatever. You guys are in a business school. You should be, uh, you will get points for class participation next week, right? Just tell me your name and what your.
Good afternoon, ma'am. My name is Shaunak Karnavati.
Hi.
So I had a question for you that, as being said that many of the times you were the only women candidate in the board meeting. So how was it difficult, and if it was, then how did you motivate yourself that you have to prove that you're the best in the meeting?
It was not easy, but it became easier as time went on. Uh, when I was very young, it was very hard. But as you get older and everybody else starts becoming, actually they're younger than you, I used to pretend that everybody there are cabbages, and I'm talking to a bunch of cabbages. So that made it easier for me. It's also important, and this is true for both men and women, if you can find yourself a mentor in business, in your corporate organization, somebody who will have your back. It doesn't have to be somebody in the organization, it can be outside the organization, but somebody who can be an advisor and a guide. It's very important. It makes all the difference between just being good at what you're doing and being brilliant at what you do. So do look for mentors who can guide you and advise you. What have you studied before you came?
I've done BCom.
BCom.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, my name is Riya, and my question is, you just said that you are the only one at the higher level women, and काफी women नहीं होती हैं. So as we all know, patriarchy रहती है हमारी society में, और women अगर आगे बढ़ना भी चाहे तो उनको उस हिसाब से नहीं समझा जाता. So what do you think कि organizations कैसे motivate करें women को आगे आने?
सोच, at least organizations में काफी सोच बदल गई है because they are recognizing कि ये toxic patriarchy जो होती है is not benefiting the organization, क्योंकि half of the country is being kept out of. Women are half, right? So and अभी there is enough evidence कि if there is diversity in the company or in the leadership, then companies actually do better. They make more profit. Actually होता क्या है that it's not that women don't come in. If you start, I mean, you look here today, I think there are what, roughly 50-50 or I don't know what your class is of 50-50 women. But anyway, when you take a company like ours, Kantar, we don't have, any quotas, and we tend to take half women, half men. After about 10 years, that ratio drops. It becomes, I think, 30, 40, 60 or so. And by the time you reach leadership, senior most positions, it becomes like 80-10. So at various stages, women drop out, and typically it is when it related to children, or it is related to taking care of old parents. Somehow, I mean, children of course, but it is also seems to be their responsibility to take care of older parents. So, what organizations are doing is looking at those stages in a woman's life and seeing okay, how do we keep them back in the workforce? What can we do to do that? So now, actually, the government also does quite a bit. Okay, people don't implement it, but the government has many good policies. 6 months maternity leave is, I think nowhere else in the world they gave it. The only thing is that 6 months the father should also be able to take, otherwise it's still the woman's responsibility. Creches, if you have more than 100 people or something, you must have a creche in the office. And we also encourage जैसे women if they take a break, 2-3 साल की break, we have a program which says it's called second innings, unpause. Different companies are getting women back into the workforce to so that they're not permanently out. And finally, जैसे मैं कहती mentors, so we are appointing mentors for women above a certain level, so that they can aspire for leadership posts. And I have to say that many organizations are doing this. It's still work in progress, but the realization that it needs to be done is very much there.
How do you think कि कितना time लग जाएगा इस चीज़ को आने में?
Well, हम सब ने we have given in ourselves targets के 2025 तक we should be 40-60 at the senior level. I think it will take longer than that because service industry में it's easier. Manufacturing में तो बहुत काफ़ी मुश्किल है. But even in manufacturing, जैसे ये, I think the Tatas have just set up a plant in Pune or somewhere, which is entirely run by women. The whole factory is entirely run by women. You've seen how many women pilots we have, no? I think more than anywhere in the world. So, but you must also remember कि जो हम बात कर रहे हैं जिस cohort की बात कर रहे हैं, that's a very small, it's urban, metro, formal sector. We know that women actually have a much harder time outside this. We look after them, we say safety होनी चाहिए, work-life balance होना चाहिए, etc. etc. पर घर जाके तो उनको काम उन्हीं को करना होता है ना. थोड़ा society change will take longer, but we're trying to do at least the workplace should be good for them.
Actually हमारे पहले सेशंस हुए उसमें काफ़ी मेंटर्स ने बोला है कि स्टूडेंट्स का राइट एटीट्यूड होना चाहिए.
Right.
What do you think कि कैसे टाइप का राइट एटीट्यूड होना चाहिए?
The thing about right attitude is what I call what we say can-do attitude होना चाहिए, which is that अच्छा मुश्किल है, but I will find a way to try and do it. That is one. The second is that at different points in your career, you'll have to trade off money for learning. तो अगर आप if you're saying अच्छा मेरे को I'm learning well in this organization, but somebody is offering me 30% more salary, it's not always the right decision. So taking actually seeing at this point in time what do I need. Money is very important, but having a slightly more long-term perspective. other thing is that uh, working with teams and building your leadership qualities is also very important, and that COVID has taken some of that away because हम लोग कॉलेज में ये सीखते हैं, how do you work how do you do projects, how do you work in teams. Now you're lucky you're back, but teamwork and leadership qualities, that is the other attitude that people companies are looking at. It has to be a balance between the organization and the individual. ये नहीं कि individual is supreme and organization is not, or vice versa.
Question that you being the chairwoman of South Asia of Insights Division of Kantar. So can you please give us some information about what Insights Division actually deals with the sector?
A consulting company. So what we do is the reason we exist is to help companies take business decisions on the business, primarily marketing decisions, on the basis of consumer understanding. So we are the link between them and the consumer. So companies come to us with questions like, Asha, why is my brand not doing well? Or is this the right communication for this brand? Or how have consumer needs changed post the pandemic? How are consumers shopping now that e-commerce is such a big thing? So online shopping, offline shopping, kaise kar rahe hain? What is the path to purchase? Also, how do I make sure that retailers prefer me in their distribution channel? How do I make my employees stay with me as a company? So it's a very wide gamut of questions that come to us. And what we do is we design a study to answer those questions. So, who should we talk to? What should we ask them? What is the best way of collecting that data? And that is then analyzed, interpreted, and we give them recommendations on that basis. So it's a great profession. It's very diverse. We have multiple clients who have multiple questions, and every day is a new challenge, because it's a new challenge for clients, and you can actually make business impact because you have answered the question the right way. That's what we do.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah.
I'm Shitish.
I see.
So, ma'am, my question is that there is another company, Rakuten Insights, you might be aware of.
Who?
Rakuten. मैम वो भी इंसाइट्स कंपनी है.
अच्छा, okay.
सो दे प्रोवाइड जैसे कस्टमर डेटा जो कलेक्ट करते हैं,
हाँ,
तो वो
हाँ.
उसके बदले में रिवॉर्ड पॉइंट्स देते हैं.
अच्छा.
सो तो क्या होता है ना, लोग उसमें फेक डेटा डालते हैं, जैसे इनकम पूछते हैं तो इनकम किसी ने ज़्यादा बता दी, कम बता दी, या आपको मतलब बेसिकली जो फेक डेटा आता है, तो आप उससे आपका डिसीजन कैसे आप क्रिएट करते हो, क्या स्ट्रैटेजी?
तो हमारा जो system है, in a large company like Kantar, there is a whole department that does nothing except check the quality and validity of the data. ये नहीं कि हम डेटा कलेक्ट करके क्लाइंट को दे देते हैं, whatever. There is, it's almost 2,000 people strong department that does forensic checks, that does back checks, that does random checks, that also looks at, you can actually figure it out once you look at the data whether it is happening, whether it is right or not. So there is a system of fraud checking and forensic checking which is now getting more and more digitized. So, companies like these will always get found out. It's not, and we have been in the business now for 50 years, or my clients have been with us for 50 years. So we figured it out. And you're right in that you have to constantly stay ahead of the game, because people find other ways of frauding the data. So you have to check that. But it's a very important part of what we do. That the validity and accuracy and correctness of the data we give you is there. Because people are taking $1 billion decisions on the basis of that. No? Yeah.
How
My name is Saril Chauhan. Ma'am, if you will recruit someone, so what qualities do you need?
Sorry.
If you will recruit someone, what qualities do you need?
For Kantar. So for Kantar attitude, but we also, research, there is two kinds of research, what qualitative and quantitative research. Uh, Quantitative research deals with numbers, qualitative research deals with language and is unstructured. Uh, so we typically hire from disciplines like MBAs or psychology, sociology, economics, and if you want to do well in research, you need to, one is, uh, you have to be very interested in human beings. Because what we study is, basically what we do is human understanding. So you have to be curious. Curiosity is the first attribute we look at. Curiosity about humans, why do they do what they do? And you need to also be able to uh, be interested in the business impact of the solutions you see. You have to have an analytical problem solving kind of mindset. If you're doing quantitative research, you have to be good with numbers. And qualitative research is again of language, etc. In both cases, communication and storytelling and how to present your point of view is also important. And finally, these are clients and client deadlines, and clients pay our salaries, so you often have to work long hours sometimes and under tight deadlines. So you should be able to take that.
As you are a chairperson of South Asia, right? So how does it feel like as a woman, of a chairwoman of South Asia, and what were the challenges you faced throughout till now, and what was the experience?
But actually, challenges that you face. One is, you have to be, when you start out, you have to be very clear that this is what you want to do. Not that this is the career I want, because that has changed many careers. It took me a little while to get to what I really want to do. But you have to be clear that I want to be financially independent, and that work is not something that I do on the side. It's an important and meaningful part of my life. So at various points you will make trade-offs. You will say, at this point my family is more important, but another point my work is more important. But it never takes complete second stage. So you have to be very clear about that. It's absolutely fine to say, I don't want to get into this competitive rat race. I would rather be a good homemaker and look after my children, or do something else. If you want to be an entrepreneur, fantastic. So be clear that you want to do something which makes you. I keep saying financially independent because actually economic independence is the only independence that you have. Everything else is somebody's allowing you to do it. Never be in a situation where somebody's allowing you to work, allowing you to spend money, etc. So that's one. The other is that at least in my trajectory, I've had very supportive. My family has been very supportive. My in-laws, my parents, etc. have been supported. It's important to have that infrastructure. You have to fight the world out. There's no point fighting your family as well. And I think the third important challenge is, at least for me, has been an internal challenge, a personal challenge. That what they call, there's this thing they call the imposter syndrome, no? Which is that you think that you're here by accident. You're not actually good enough. So fighting that and saying that you are good enough, and actually stepping out every time and saying that whenever I have done something which seemed risky for me, or seemed that I could not do it, or it's not, I've moved out of my comfort zone, it has actually benefited me. I wish I had done it more often. So I think those are in a long career, when you look back in hindsight, those are the 2 or 3 things that I would advise you to, when you start, during, and just have more confidence in yourself.
spoke about work-life balance,
Yeah.
and you also said you had a supportive family.
Mm.
But despite the supportive family, I want to know what were the major challenges in achieving that work-life balance?
Oh, okay. You know, actually, the work-life balance challenge really only happens when you have children, because other things you can manage, you know. But when you have a young child who's dependent on you and who you're, so that's the time that you need to actually manage work life. I have to say, you know, one thing that the pandemic has done for us is this allowing us, telling us that, you know, you can actually work from home and be very effective. It's been a boon in many ways. But in the profession that I am in, we've always had flexibility because, you know, it's a lot of it is individual working and you can decide your time, etc. It may be harder in very hierarchical organizations, etc. Uh, the other thing is, you know, it's, I think the term now is work-life harmony, which is that it is not 9 to 5 I will work, after that I will not work. There will be times during the day when you will be doing personal things, there will be times afterwards when you will need to work, especially in a global economy. So managing that is actually what helps. Yeah. What has kept me motivated till now has been the fact that I can have impact on that I have developed people who have gone on to become you know, CEOs, etc. themselves. And I think if you're in a business like ours, the client impact is very motivating. I'm saying there are brands that you can say that because of me this brand is exists or is doing well or whatever. So it's both sides. Internally it has been people and the teams that you've built, and externally it has been the clients and the brands that you've built.
There's no competitors again in the market. If I talk about Kantar, there's Nielsen IQ, there's Ipsos, there's Ken Research, a lot of other players are there. So how is Kantar being like a very old in the market? How are they keeping their clients intact?
So we have the advantage that we are like what we call a full service agency. We offer all services. We've been in the business a long time, and we've always been market leaders, so that helps. But globally and even in India now, we're staying ahead through technology, uh, through platform development, through new frameworks, through new ways of answering those questions, and that's a constant, you know, and it's uh, what has kept us going and what has kept us ahead of others are our client relationships. Really.
Something what Kantar adopted once the COVID hit the nation. So what Kantar actually kind of brought in to retain the employees or to get them going. So one kind of policy which you remember or you think that which kept Kantar employees working.
I think actually many things, and HR did a lot for that because one is we allowed them to work from anywhere that they want, including from their hometowns, etc. So it was not work from home; it was work from hometown, and we did lots of things to for employee engagement, and also bringing about this realization that it's not easy for everybody to work from their home. So what we did was, we did a series of videos where we went inside our with their permission, of course, into our employees' homes and showed everybody what their homes are like. It's not everybody has 6-bedroom houses where you can, husband is working, children are studying, etc. It's not that. So we actually said, if you're working from home, it's fine if the pressure cooker sounds or the dog comes, because that's part of working from home, right? And we also did a lot of, because one of the problems that working from home and COVID did was it brought a lot of mental issues to the fore. People were really feeling, you know, out of control in that sense. So we employee assistance programs we had counselors, they could reach out to somebody to say how they're feeling, and so we did all of that.